What is going on, everyone? We're starting a podcast dedicated to figuring out what we want this podcast to be about. My name is Dallin Lucas. DallinJay is not here today. He is taking a much needed vacation, but he really wanted me to do an episode by myself because of the great response we've been having to our recent video. And yeah, he wanted this to get out as soon as possible. But he will be back for the next episode. Don't worry. He's a way better host than I am. But yeah, so let me just go over a few things. First off, let me make sure we're recording on everything. We are. He's way better at that. I have to figure out how to get everything ready. But let's see, what do we have? So thank you again for all the great response for our Nations of the World video. Just want to say that video took a lot of work to do. I should have kept tabs of how long it actually took, but it was multiple hours, multiple weeks, preparing the script, preparing the shoot, editing it, doing the green screen, adding the little effects in there, like the lights blinking. And yeah, it was a lot of work. But I am more than excited to see how well it's being received. But just like with any piece of work, it's not going to be perfect. So I have made some notes of some of the potential mistakes. Well, a lot of them are real mistakes that I made in the video. Some of the things that people pointed out are actually in the video. They just misunderstood what I was saying. Mainly the Asia line. A lot of people want me to take the Asia line out, but that's in the original Animaniacs song. It doesn't make sense, of course, because Asia is the continent. It's not a country or a nation. But in the original version, it kind of is the same in mine. It just helps the flow of the countries like blend together. Cause like Malaysia, then Bangladesh doesn't rhyme with Malaysia. So Bangladesh, Asia. And in the video, I made sure to put the Asia in parentheses, to kind of add some emphasis to know that this is not the nation or country. This is the continent. Just like how I add other words that aren't the countries, like, and then there's, and things like that. Like, it's just like an additive to keep the flow of the rhyming going, keep the flow of the song going. And also some people don't know that Bangladesh is in Asia. So now you definitely know that's where it's at. Also, I don't know how I forgot this or how I missed this, but I missed one of the nations, and it is by far the longest name for one. Maybe it was just so long that my brain just forgot it. But St. Vincent and Grenadines, I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong. But yeah, St. Vincent and Grenadines was one that I completely missed. And I apologize. I didn't do it on purpose. And I hope you forgive me for doing that. I made a comment underneath the video stating that I forgot that. So hopefully people will see that. Also, a lot of people thought I forgot Vatican City because that is a nation. However, according to the United Nations, Vatican City is referred to as Holy See. I know a lot of people use those titles interchangeably. They don't mean the same thing. But I was basing this song off of what was listed with the United Nations, and they go by Holy See. So that is why Vatican City is not in this song. I think it's in the original Animaniacs one, but I turned it to Holy See for my version. And also, I love how everyone's this. They just love it. The dancing is another big thing that people enjoy. I'm not a professional dancer, if you couldn't guess, but I put my whole effort into it. I shaked that booty, and I'm glad it's being appreciated. So let me see. I think that's pretty much everything that I was able to notice in the comments and about the video. It's at 11,000 views currently, and that is amazing. I would have never thought that a video would get 11,000 views, even though I have now 222 subscribers. And that's amazing too. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting, liking on the videos. Does it work for the algorithm? Does it help? I don't know, but I don't care. That's not why I want to see likes and comments. I want to see it for me. I want to see what you guys are thinking about it. And for the most part, I'm pretty thick-skinned. So say what you will. Leave any comments. I do social media for work, so I see all sides of the spectrum. People being angry, people liking what you're doing, people not understanding what you're doing. And I read all the comments. I like to see what people have to say about my work. So leave comments, like whether it's good or bad, leave it. And if they just get too extreme and I just can't handle all the hate, then I'll let you know. And of course, because it's the way the internet works, once I tell you that some of these comments are bothering me, they're going to come even more. So that's just the nature of the internet. And we embrace it. And it just makes it more interesting. So thank you for the engagement. Thank you for all the support. It has been pretty amazing. Yeah, more than I can even imagine. So enough ranting about that. I will post any other comments or things that I have about that somewhere else. But for now, I want to move on to another section. So I did see some movies since our last episode, and I hope my S's aren't popping too much in the mic. I did not set that properly. So, but I did see a few movies since the last time we were here. Namely Saltburn, Mean Girls, and The Holdovers. And so I'm going to tell you what I think of them. We'll start with Saltburn. So if you're on TikTok, lots of people talk about this movie. and they can't stop talking about it either. And that may have affected my viewing of this film. Because a lot of times when people overhype things, I try not to let that affect my perception of the film, but I just can't help it. Like, people talk something up, I'm expecting something that's just top tier. And not that the movie was like horrible, but for the first like hour, I didn't really care about any of these characters. It just felt like it was trying too hard to be edgy or disgusting, or just trying to push the boundaries to kind of like just cause some kind of visceral reaction to people. And I mean, it probably would have worked on me if I wasn't so desensitized to things like this. But I don't know. It was what it was. And then I don't want to spoil it, because I hate spoiling films for anyone, because you might watch this and get a completely different experience than I do. So if you do go see this, forget everything I said. Go watch it with a clean slate, and you make your own opinion. But for me, the final act in this film, it wasn't believable for me. It was kind of stretching I don't know. It kind of like, I felt like it was breaking the rules that it had set in the beginning. Yeah. So you had to like kind of, I can't think of the word right now, but you had to suspend your disbelief a lot more in the last act than you did in the beginning. So did I like this film? Beautifully shot. Actors are all awesome. And the story was, and so I don't know. I really feel like this is just more like a meh, kind of, I don't know. It's almost not that good. But yeah, I'll just say it's a meh, because I didn't really care too much for it. But now on to Mean Girls, the movie, the musical, Broadway, the movie. And this one definitely, I don't want to say exceeded my expectations, but I knew it was going to be a musical walking into this, and I didn't know any of the songs. I had seen the original movie, so I knew the story. And so I felt like personally it was a very condensed version of the original movie with songs added into it, because I felt like they moved from plot to plot very quickly. Usually songs in musicals are there to help speed up the narrative. For this, however, I felt like it kind of slowed it down, and then you had to skip over some of the build up to some of the events. But the songs were cool. The dance numbers were cool. Each of the characters was awesome, but I didn't really feel like the plastics were as mean as they were in the first movie. So that was like kind of disappointing. They were just cool kids who didn't want to hang out with other people. They weren't really mean. They were kind of mean to one dude, and that was it. They were more mean to each other than anything. But for Mean Girls, it's not that bad. Let's see. And then The Holdovers. I just watched that yesterday. This is one that I really wanted to see over Christmas break. And now I'm sad that I didn't watch it over Christmas break because I knew it had some Christmas themes in it, but I didn't know the whole movie was during Christmas vacation. So it probably would have been better watching it during Christmas time. But nonetheless, it was still good acting. The cinematography was awesome. It really felt nostalgic, felt like it was made for people who loved movies from the 70s. They did a really good job at making it feel like it was shot back then, with the way the camera moved, a lot of just like static shots of characters doing stuff. I forgot what it's called, but like the crash zoom. I think that's what it's actually called. The crash zooms, they were used very effectively. And yeah, it was good. It was very like peaceful and was a nice little throwback to movies of the past. And this was another one that I kind of wish I didn't hear people's reviews of, because I was expecting a lot more from it. Because as far as the story goes, it's very simple. And the acting was good. I mean, Paul Giamatti's always good. So, of course, he's going to be good in it. And then Divine Joy Randolph, she was good too. I don't want to say she's bad, but I was expecting a little bit more from the character, because she's been winning so many awards. But I'm happy for her. She did a good job. It was deserved. She did a good job. I can't even remember who she's up against this year, so maybe those just aren't as good. So yeah, The Holdovers. I did enjoy it. I did like it, but I'm just gonna. It's not that bad. So I was gonna go see The Iron Claw today, but things got in the way. And yeah, so, one thing I wanted to say about The Holdovers is, there was a scene where, the main character, he farts in the movie. He's like doing stretches and then he farts. And this is me personally. I feel like farts in movies and TV shows, they're just not funny. And I think it's because farts are so embarrassing, that when they happen, they're kind of unexpected, and it feels, I don't know, it just has a little more effect when someone farts, they didn't want to, and they're a little embarrassed. But when it's in movies, maybe it's because I know that fart was scripted and was in there purposefully, that I don't think it's as funny. I could be in the minority, of course. But farts, they're just funnier when you don't know that they're coming. So that was just something interesting that I thought of when I was watching that. And so, yeah, nothing beats grandma just walking down the hallway, just ripping away in the kitchen, ripping away. 'Cause she just can't control it. But as far as in movies, especially a lot of the sounds, they're always like burnt, and it just doesn't sound real. You need some juicy ones in there too. Or even like silent ones that you don't even know happen, and they just stink. Those are good too. So yeah, let's see. What else did DallinJay want me to talk about? Okay. So this part of the podcast, he really wanted me to do this because there are a lot of podcasts that just have one person talking to the camera. And so he wanted to test that out. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. A lot of people do have podcasts where it's just them talking to the camera. Usually, I think it feels better when there's two people talking, because then it feels like you are part of a conversation instead of just being talked to. So you guys can let us know. Do you like this kind of format, or do you only like it when it's DallinJay and I here talking? And sometimes we'll have guests. I think in the future we're planning on getting a few guests. So look forward to that. Yeah, so for this next part, do you guys know anyone who they base like their whole personality off of horoscopes? I know a few people, and there's nothing wrong with that. People like to find meaning in all aspects of their life, and that's kind of a fun way to look at it. Is like when you were born, what cosmic energies were being projected down to the earth when you were born. And a lot of times they're pretty spot on. But I just have one minor issue with it. And that is because the names of the horoscopes are based on what the zodiac was 2,000 years ago. And I'm no astrophysiologist or whatever you want to call it. I'm not that. But what I do know is that over 2,000 years, the way the stars are aligned in the sky are different than when they were in the past. So when Jesus was here, they were completely different than how they are today. And unless you were born 2,000 years ago, which is not very likely, you may have some errors in your zodiac. So I just have one suggestion. I know a lot of people don't like it when I say you aren't this sign, you're actually this sign, because they're like, I don't identify with that at all. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not that type of person. And I think you have me misunderstood just a little bit. Because maybe the descriptions of each of the zodiac signs is correct, but you just need to move the names down or up. Because my whole life I thought I was an Aquarius, but learning more about astrology, realized that when I was born, it was Capricorn. Like those stars were the most prominent in the sky. So yes, I am technically a Capricorn, but maybe the description of Aquarius is actually correct, but it was just put in the wrong spot. So I'm not an Aquarius, I'm a Capricorn, but just take that description that's in Aquarius, bump it up to the Capricorn side, and there you have it. That's problem solved. Everybody's on the same page. And then you won't be wrong, because when I was born, those Aquarius stars were not there to give me all of their energy. It was the good old Capricorn stars. So I want to give those guys the credit that they deserve. And maybe they know like, oh, the description for Aquarius is what we were trying to give you. But us as humans, we get things mixed up sometimes. So just need to bump it over. Just put it Aquarius description to Capricorn and go with the rest of them as well. And everyone will be happier, you know? I also don't know the name of like that new constellation. Begins with an O, I think. That one's a little more complicated because then it adds a 13th constellation in the sky. And so some people don't like that either. They like keeping it 12. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Don't come at me. Well, come at me. Leave some comments. I'd like to know what you guys think about that too. So yeah, let's move on to one more thing. So recently I had a business idea that you start a rental business where you rent out things like paddle boards, kayaks, golf equipment, you name it, pretty much anything. If you can think of it, you can rent it. But with this, you rent out these things. But there's one issue. You rent out these things, but you don't own them. These things are actually your friend's stuff. And so when you rent something out, you call up your friend like, hey, can I borrow your kayak? We're going to the lake. Wanted to borrow it. And so you take your friend's kayak, rent it out to that other person. You make some money. You don't even have to buy anything. You just have to trust the goodness of your friends to be able to borrow stuff from them. Is that a good idea for a business? Probably not. But I just thought it was pretty funny if like you could just base your entire business model off of the goodness of your friends and them lending you stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for that. Not very insightful or anything, but I just thought it was kind of funny. So let's see. I did have one more thing that I wanted to do, but it might actually take too long. So I think I'll push that to a later date. I wanted to keep this podcast under 30 minutes. Because it's just me talking to you guys. It's not a conversation. And yeah, that can get a little boring really quick. And I wanted to get this out before this weekend because I am going to be at Sundance. So I will be watching lots of movies. And of course, I'm going to tell you what I think of them. And hopefully I see some cool filmmakers. I hear Christopher Nolan's supposed to be there. Maybe I'll congratulate him on his wins and tell him I expect him to be making great films even after he wins an Oscar. Can't take no off days. Like, you got to keep building greatness even after you get the most prestigious award there is. Okay. I will be at Sundance this week. If you were at Sundance, come say hi. I'll also be there next week too. Come say hi. I think that's all I have for today. We're starting a podcast. I'm Dallin Lucas, and keep subscribing, keep liking, keep commenting. Thank you for the support. We should now be available on all of the podcasts, things of your choice, whether that be Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. Like, our podcast was strictly YouTube only, but I decided to tell Dallin, hey, we should probably put this on everything. So we did it. It's on everything. So go find it on your platform of choice and listen and like and comment and do all the good things there too. But yeah, thanks again, guys. And I will see you on the next one. DallinJay will be here as well. Peace.